Hey guys, this is Hans Gusen for 6plusholdem.com, and today I want to give you guys an introduction into Shortek, or 6plus-Holdem as many people call it. This game has gained tremendous popularity in the past 2 years, and I think we have all seen these crazy Trident poker events featuring huge cash games and tournaments. So let's start and have a look at the rules and the format. This game is played with 36 instead of 52 cards. That means that the deuces, threes, fours and fives are removed from the deck. An ace can count as a 5, so you can make a low straight with ace 6, 7, 8, 9. In terms of hand rankings, there is only one big change. A flush now actually beats a full house. All other hand rankings stay the same. This change was made given that it is more likely to make a full house than a flush. Shortek is usually played 6-handed and with an ante format. There is no small and big blind anymore. Every player pays one ante and the button has to pay an additional ante as the big blind. Given that the game is played with 36 instead of 52 cards, there are certain changes in the dynamic of the game. For example, straights become much more likely. The preflop equities run super close. This makes the game have even more variance than in PLO, for example. The 10 is the median card, and paired boards happen a lot, and this leads to a lot of full houses and, generally speaking, to more strong holdings. Actually, if the board is not paired by the river, there are always 2 or more straights possible. Let's take a look at outs and odds. In regular Holdem, you can calculate your odds based on the rule of 2 and 4. You roughly multiply your outs by 4 on the flop and by 2 on the turn. In Shortek, however, this changes to the rule of 3 and 6. Here we are holding Jack 10 on Ace 9 8, and we are up against Ace King. We have 4 sevens and 4 queens to make the straight. We can now multiply our outs times 6 in order to roughly calculate our equity. In this case, we are coin flipping. In regular Holdem, we would be a 35 to 65% equity underdog actually. So as mentioned before, and I can't state this enough, equities do run super close. Given that there are fewer cards in the deck, the probability of getting pocket aces increase significantly. Also, getting pocket pairs and 2 Broadway cards increase. This will lead to people playing more hands, overvaluing high card hands like ace jack or king queen, especially when they are transitioning from regular Holdem. Let's take a look now into some flop frequencies with the hand example Jack 10 suited. As you can see, we are making less top pairs than in regular Holdem. However, we are making more 2 pairs, trips and straights. Less flushes and about the same amount of flush draws. And the most significant change is that we are making a lot more open and straight draws. Another big difference to regular Holdem is that pocket pairs hit a set on the flop about 15% of the time. This might make you think that pocket pairs are super powerful in this game, however, they make a lot less overpairs than in regular Holdem. For example, if you have a hand like pocket jacks, there's only an 18% chance that you have an overpair on the flop. Let's take a look at some preflop equity comparisons. In the top left example, you can see that Ace King against 9-10 is flipping. In No Limit Holdem, this would be a 60-40 situation. Pocket Aces against Jack 10 is a 65-35 favorite. In regular Holdem, Aces would be an 80% favorite. Pocket Kings against Ace King is almost a coin flip, where in regular Holdem we would be a 70-30% favorite. And lastly, an all-in that happens quite regularly is Ace King against Ace Queen, where you can see that we are only a 2-1 favorite. This means, once again, that equities run super close and you should always have a good overview about the pot odds you're getting, since in a lot of scenarios you're actually committed with a hand, given that there will be a lot of dead money because of the ante structure. Let's continue with some post-flop equity comparisons. Here you can see we have 10-9 suited, and we are up against Ace King. We are all in on the flop, we have a flush draw, so we only have 5 outs here. That means we have roughly 40% equity. This does not change much from regular Holdem. You can see we have about the same percentages here. Next hand example, we have pocket nines and we are all in on 10-9-8 against Queen Jack. So at first glance you would think, oh, we have a set and we are definitely an underdog here against the nut straight. But given that there are so few cards in the deck, paired boards will happen, as mentioned before, super often. So we are actually a 51% favorite to win the hand. In normal Holdem, in this scenario, we would only have 34% equity. Next hand, we have bottom two pair. We have 8-6 on 6-8-10, and we are all in against Jack 10. We are only a slight favorite here, having 55% equity. In regular Holdem, we would have 71%. Next example, we have again 10-9 suited on Ace-7-8 and we are all in against Ace-King. We are holding the nut open-ender here, the Jack and the 6 makes us the nuts, and we have actually 53.5% equity against a hand like Ace-King. In regular Holdem, we would only have 37. So this means that open-enders especially are super powerful in this game. And lastly, we are all in on the flop with Queen Jack of clubs and we are up against pocket aces. We have a backdoor flush draw and the gut shot to the nuts. And you can see we have 34% equity. In regular Holdem we would only have 23. If you are interested in giving short deck Holdem a try, you should be aware of the biggest mistakes people are doing that are transitioning. A key component in short deck is having a limping range. If you come from a no-limit Holdem or PLO background, this might seem very counterintuitive and many people start raising their entire range from under the gun instead of limping. This directly leads to the second mistake. People tend to use the same raise sizings as in normal Holdem, to like 2.5, 3 or 4 big blinds. In short deck, you are looking to raise towards pot size, which will usually be about 7 to 10 antes. Another big mistake is overplaying top pairs. Having ace-jack on ace-queen-9 is not considered a very strong hand in short deck. Given that the equities run so close, you are supposed to 3-bet all in when you are 50 to 100 antes deep. In regular Holdem, you would normally 3-bet to a size around 3 times the open raise. If you would do that in short deck, people would have enough equity to profitably call you with their entire range. And lastly, people tend to overplay their flush draws, especially on the turn where if you don't have a pair or a straight draw to go with your hand, you're looking at having around 15% equity only to make your flush by the river. In conclusion, this game has much more variance than No Limit Holdem and even PLO. You can somewhat compare it to MTTs. This game plays a lot higher than the value of the actual ante or stake you are playing. A rule of thumb is that you can count the stake you are playing times 3. So if you are playing No Limit 100, the game plays more like No Limit 300. Main reasons for that is that you are raising bigger preflop and also you are 3-betting all in and not 3-betting to a 3 times the open raise sizing. Also, you can expect most beginners to overvalue their hand strength. This counts for both pre and post flop. For example, you will have people stack off deep with medium pocket pairs like 10s or jack that are almost always dominated when the money goes in. Other times you might see someone not being able to fold top pair even on a very wet board with either a flushes or straights possible. For this fact alone, you can actually have a very decent win rate over the long run. Given that this game is still fairly new, there is only very little content out there. So if you take your game seriously and study, you will be able to have a very decent win rate. And lastly, as explained earlier, but worth another mention, having a connected hand is very valuable, especially if it's suited. For example, 9-10 suited will have 40% equity against aces, making it one of the best non-premium starting hands. You will oftentimes see people playing those very aggressive preflop in order to balance your range. Alright guys, that's it for the beginners course. I hope you liked it and you got interested in giving 6+ a try. I'll promise you, you won't regret it. Thanks for watching. This was Hans Gusen for 6plusholdem.com.